Hi there, everybody. It's Julianne Jones, and I am here this morning with the answers to the video Q&A Monday questions that came in on the fan page for me yesterday. So I'm going to get over here to the page so I can read those answers, and or the questions actually, and then they answer those. So question number 1 comes from Denise D'Angelo. I get stumped on doing follow-ups and calling previous hostesses / customers / guests to ask for shows. Any tips or verbiage would be greatly appreciated. Oh, my computer's making all kinds of noises. Let me shut that down. So great question, Denise. My philosophy when it comes to the phone, and somebody else had a question about how do I get over the 1,000-pound phone phobia that I have? That was Joy Norris, Bell Norris. My philosophy about the phone is, we never have a problem picking up the phone to call a friend and chat. I got a phone call from my friend Nancy this morning. We talked for 15 or 20 minutes. It's a great part of my day when that happens. And I never hesitate to pick up the phone and call a friend. So if you think of your potential customers, the follow-up that you're doing with your hosts or your guests or anybody as just picking up the phone to call a friend, and the way to do that is to make sure that you don't have an agenda going into that, or at least an agenda that you feel strongly about, I have to get this. So in other words, if you're calling to get the booking and that's your agenda when you pick up the phone, not only does it make it harder for you, that 1,000-pound phone, like Joy said, you feel nervous and like you're going to be pushy and you don't want to make the call, but obviously it's harder for the person on the other end too. If you pick up the phone, and especially if it's someone you're calling who you already know, which in your case, Denise, you said, these are previous hostesses, customers, guests who you've met. It's very easy to say, hey, remember who I am? We met the other night at Carol's party, and I just was so interested in learning more about ABC, whatever they were sharing. Just thought I would call and check in, make sure that you got your products, whatever the reason is that you're calling. Make sure that you start by acknowledging them, number 1. Remind them how they know you. If it's someone who's said, would you please follow up with me, remind them that they've asked you to follow up so that you're calling for a reason. And I really feel strongly that if you tell someone you'll follow up and then you don't follow up with them until you reach them and you have the conversation, then you're really not keeping your word. It's not a good business practice. So if that helps you, Joy, you're picking up the phone to call someone who said, I'm not interested right now, but can you call me in a month? Then that's exactly what you've promised that you're going to do. And so you're keeping your word. It's a good business practice, and it's integrity. And so when you call, you're reminding them, hey, this is how we met. This is how you know me, in case it's someone who doesn't know you very well. If it's a customer, that kind of thing. Your hosts ought to know who you are, but just calling to check in, keep it very light, make it about them. So yes, you might have an agenda to book a party, but if you call and ask, how are you doing? The last time I saw you, this was going on in your life. And I'm a big believer in making notes about that. If you take someone's door prize drawing slip or order form from your party and make a note about what you talked about with them, about their family or their job or, what's going on in their life, then when you call back, you can look at that, you can remember, and there's a really easy way to start the conversation because you say, you were sharing with me that, your daughter was heading off to Europe, and I know that time has come and went. How did that go? Were you able to say goodbye without being a complete mess like we talked about? People love sharing about themselves. So if you can start the conversation with something relevant to her, make it about her, and then during that conversation, ask maybe some questions. If you're calling for a booking, say, so how's your life been? Have you been busy? I know that when we talked, you were really busy, and honestly, that's one of the reasons that people book parties with me is because they're busy. It's a chance for you to have one night out with your friends, create a fun girls' night out, and get together with everybody all at one time. So if you're still busy, I think it's a perfect time to book that party. So it's a really easy way for you to start the conversation with acknowledgement about them, if you can, something that you know about them, and then really making sure that you are making it about them, that the conversation, I'm sorry, all these things are, my iWatch is dinging, I have an Apple Watch, very cool. My computer is dinging. Unfortunately, these are things I can't always turn off, so it's technology. My husband says my superhero is Gadget Girl, so all the gadgets are going off this morning. Anyway, if you make it about them and you find a way to always acknowledge and make the call about them, it's going to be easier for you to make those phone calls. And there's a little bit of scripting that I gave you in that too, which I think you asked for, Denise. So there you go. Jessica, Covey Wanamaker, I have a 2-part question, if that's okay. It is. How do you get ready to move your business to a whole new province? In her case, she must be Canadian, or state. And what should be done to reestablish the business in that new place? Well, Jessica, first of all, Make sure that you're in touch with your customers where you currently live, and let them know that you're happy to do business remotely with them. I would take some time before you leave and set up the structures in the system so they know how to continue working with you and ordering from you, maybe even doing virtual parties or that type of thing after you move. So you maintain some of that business there. And the nice thing about where we are, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, if you moved, it wasn't as easy to keep in touch. Now we have all this social media. We have Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter and LinkedIn and all kinds of ways to keep in touch. You can do virtual parties. So definitely establish with your current clientele, hosts and guests and clientele that you're moving, and let them know how to work with you going forward. And then in your new town, I will post a link below this video to one of my most popular blog posts called Getting Bookings When You're New in Town is what it's called. And there's about, I think, 6 or 8 ideas there on what you can do once you get into town to get to know people, places you can go where it's easy to say, hey, I'm new, I have this business. Think places where you'll find potential hosts and customers. The big key is to get involved in your new community in any way you can. If you have school-age kids, get involved at school, because the key is to be around a lot of people, right? And in order to do that, you have to be involved. So join the chamber, join a leads club or any sort of a networking club that's in that town, and think about people that you know. This is one thing for me, because I started my business when I was brand new in town, and I've told this story on other videos, but I didn't know anyone, but I thought about the people that I did know, so I had my nails done. I had a nail tech, and she's the one who did my first party, actually, and springboarded my business. And I didn't know her well, but I knew she had at least 25 or 30 clients, so it was a nice big party. So, your hairdresser, your kids, the nurse at the reception, or the receptionist at your pediatrician's, or, the school secretary, or the person who is the bank teller that knows you by name. So as you move into your new town, you're going to establish those relationships almost before you make friends. And they're great places to go and say, hey, I'd love to let you know what I do and have you support me. So good luck with that. And do read the article that I'll put below the video here, because that'll definitely support you as well. Eva, what verbiage would you use when calling past hosts of consultants who have quit? What I would say, Eva, is, hopefully it's Eva, maybe it's Ava. Anyway, Sicagnano is your last name. You have to make sure that you're using a lot of tact, and I would not get into any details regardless of why that person quit. I would basically just say, she's decided to move on, and lucky you've rolled up to me, and I'm going to be taking care of you now, and make the focus of that call all about your relationship with that host. And literally, it's a throwaway sentence to introduce yourself. I'm Susie's upline. She's decided to transition. She's no longer going to be working with the company, and so I'm going to be taking care of you now. Let's talk about what that looks like. So, and if they ask, well, why is she leaving? I would keep it as vague as possible. She's had some other opportunities, or things have changed in her life, and this isn't a good fit anymore, or she just decided that it was time to move on. Don't ever, ever, ever say anything negative, no matter what the circumstances are about why that person left. Keep it as positive and as I don't really know the reasons why, but let's focus on going forward as you can, okay? And then the last question from Debbie Keedy. Booking games that aren't lame and pushy. Well, Debbie, I didn't do a lot of booking games because I just wasn't really a game kind of girl. The closest I came was I gave out tickets and as a part of my party. And it wasn't necessarily a booking game, but I would give out tickets, and that was sort of a way for me to stay in touch with the guests and sort of interact with them throughout the party. As far as games are concerned, I think the thing you have to be careful about with booking games is that you don't make it so that if they lose, they have to book a party with you. And believe me, I've seen a lot of those types of games. So, choose to play and gamble, but if you lose, we're booking a party. I don't ever want anybody thinking about a party with you as I have to do this because I lost. So if you play a game, it has to be when you play this game and you win, you get to book a party with me. And there are lots of different ways to do that. You can have, there's an envelope game. Honestly, I didn't play games, so I can't really give you any specific ones. You could probably look up party games. I think my friend Deb Bixler has some ideas on her website. But if you just Google home party games, you'll come up with some ideas. But the key is make sure that any game you're playing puts the focus on a party with you in a positive light. Not, oh, you lose, let's book a party. And I've been to parties like that, and I've partaken in those games. I always joke, I won, somebody said free, and I raised my hand, and I got a 15-cent votive for, booking this party that I didn't really want to book anyway, and, it burned in 10 minutes. So not the best idea, okay? So hopefully that helps. If you have not yet participated in Video Q&A Monday, it's super easy. You go over to my business page, facebook.com/Julie Ann Jones Inc., and all the links to all my social media entities are down below this video, and you can come over, ask your question on Monday, and then I answer the questions on Tuesday morning after I get all done working out and take a shower and put on some makeup, usually. Although sometimes I do it sitting here in my baseball cap after I've worked out. It just kind of depends on the day and how it's going. But Tuesday morning, I post the answers, and you can come and listen. I post a video, and I'll tag you so you can get your answers, your questions answered. So come partake. It's great to have all of the questions I had this week. Thanks, ladies, for coming and asking questions. If we're not connected yet in other areas of Facebook, if you're watching this, of the social media world, if you're watching this on Facebook, there's a bunch of links below, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, join my mailing list, find me on Pinterest and Facebook and Twitter and all those other places too. So check out those links, and I will look forward to hopefully interacting with you on next week's Video Q&A Monday. Go out and make it a fabulous day.